Hey guys, I'm Philip Wilder, and do you see this tiny little dot right here on this globe? That's Denver, Colorado. And it's a tiny little dot on this huge globe. Yet I've spent 23 years of my life in Denver, Colorado, and even still after all that time, I hardly know even that little dot. There's so many restaurants I've never been to, so many little nooks and crannies I've never seen, so many roads I've never driven down. There's so much more in Denver, Colorado that I would love to explore and see. And yet, even after 23 years, I've hardly scratched the surface. And that is just for one tiny little dot on this huge globe that represents our Earth. And this is one of the reasons why I'm really excited for eternity. Whether we'll be on a renewed Earth or a completely new Earth, either way, we will finally have an eternity to explore every single nook and cranny. And that's one of the lesser reasons why I'm excited for eternity. Stay tuned, and we're going to talk about 4 really awesome reasons why I'm excited for heaven. Let's get to it. So today we're going to look at Revelation chapter 7, verses 15 through 17. And it says, "Therefore they are before the throne of God, and serve him day and night in his temple. And he who sits on the throne will shelter them with his presence. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more. The sun shall not strike them, nor any scorching heat. For the Lamb in the midst of the throne will be their shepherd. He will guide them to springs of living water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes." Heaven sounds amazing, but I think there's 4 particular reasons, or my 4 highest reason and greatest reasons why I'm excited for heaven. Number 4 is that everything will be better. And this could be all-encompassing, but I want to narrow this in on simply experiences. Now, it's hard to know exactly what heaven will be like. It's easy to think, oh, well, maybe we'll have flying football in heaven where everyone will have wings and it'll still be football. Well, we don't know exactly if that will be in heaven. But I kind of like to operate off of 2 rules of thumb. One, Colossians 2 says that things of this earth are like a shadow of things to come. So shadow is pale in comparison to the real thing. I mean, my wife, her shadow is cool, I guess, but my actual wife is way better. And it's the same with everything. The shadow of your phone is not really all that cool, but your phone is pretty neat. So if we can think of something here in this world, this is the second rule that I operate off of. If you can think of something here in this world and extrapolate it to be something even better in earth, or if you can think of something pure and awesome that could potentially be in heaven, then either that thing probably will be in heaven, or something 1,000 times better than that will be in heaven, to the point that you don't even care if that thing you were originally hoping for is or isn't in heaven. So things are just going to be better in heaven. And now let me explain a little bit more of how much better things can be. Think about food. Food is good, but imagine food 1,000 times better. Think about exploring. Exploring is fun, but imagine exploring places 1,000 times cooler. Think about sports. Or flying football, for example. If you can think of flying football with this earthly mindset and with only knowing earth, then something 1,000 times better than flying football will exist in heaven. Or one thing I've longed would be in heaven is a year-long game of capture the flag in 100 square miles of mountainous wilderness. How awesome would that game of capture the flag be? Well, maybe that's in heaven, but if it's not, something 1,000 times better will be in heaven. And that's true with pretty much everything. As long as the reason why it's awesome is because it's pure, not because of something selfish, then something way better will probably be in heaven in its stead. Or that thing made 1,000 times better. So that's my 4th reason why I am really excited for heaven. My 3rd reason why I'm really excited for heaven is because, just like it says in here, there will be no more tears, or that God will wipe away all of our tears. And if we think about it, everyone who's going to heaven is going to be washed clean of their sins because they can only go to heaven if they ask Jesus to save them from their sins and forgive them of their sins. So everyone in heaven will be completely sinless. We won't have sinful hearts. We won't have sinful minds, which means we will be 100% loving towards each other all the time. So my third favorite reason why I'm excited for heaven is because we will have perfect fellowship with one another. How awesome would that be? No one's lying, no one's cheating. Everyone 100% of the time is looking out for each other's best interest and is trying to love each other to the best of our ability. Imagine everyone in heaven being 1,000 times closer to us and 1,000 times more life-giving than our closest friends. Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, my second favorite reason why I'm excited for heaven is because we will have a deep, deep joy in our lives. I'm sure you've had times where you've done something that you thought would be really fun, and that typically is really fun, but for some reason it just wasn't giving you any joy or happiness at all, and it was just like, why isn't this working? It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you. Or there's probably also times when you're doing something that you hated doing, but every now and then you do it and you just be filled with this deep peace and deep joy for some reason. Well, joy comes from being close with God. So in heaven, when we're ultimately way closer with God, we'll have way more peace, way more joy, and way more happiness. To the point at which, if we were to experience the overwhelming and complete and full joy, peace, love, and happiness in our earthly corrupted bodies, we would probably die from being overwhelmed with simply how good it is. That is my second favorite reason why I'm excited for heaven. Just imagine being filled with this deep joy all the time with everything that you do. Everything is just so life-giving and so full of joy. Well, my number one reason why I'm excited for heaven is that we can be in God's physical presence. We can have it sounds weird to describe as physical, but we can literally be around God, a physical relationship with God. We can also audibly hear God. We no longer have to turn to other things or try to listen really well. We can ask God a question and He will come right to us and give us the answer to that question or direct us in the way that we need direction. Additionally, too, we will be able to see God. How amazing would that be to be able to see God every single day and walk with God and talk with God every single day? That is my number one favorite reason why I am excited for eternity. I heard on the radio one time someone say, if you could be excited or satisfied with a place where you can live forever, have no problems, have perfect relationships with everyone else, and be satisfied with that but not have God, then that says a lot about where your heart is and how much you truly love God in the first place. And as we look through these verses, so much of this is focused on our relationship with God. It says, therefore they are before the throne of God and serve Him day and night in His temple. And He who sits on the throne will shelter them with His presence. And at the end, for the Lamb in the midst of the throne will be their shepherd. He will guide them to springs of living water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. What a beautiful, beautiful picture of how close we will be with God. And that is my number one reason why I'm excited to be with God in eternity. Eternity can and will only be good if God is there with us. If not, it'll be just like this earth and it'll seem so pointless and meaningless. But because God will be there with us, we will be filled with joy and be just excited each and every day, if there are days in heaven, because we will be with God. So that's why I'm excited for eternity. But what is the point of longing for eternity? Why hope for eternity when we are here on this earth right now? Well, I think longing for eternity is really important because it helps us set our perspective on things that we need to be doing, not things that we want to be doing. I would love to be spending years out in the wilderness, just surviving in the wilderness, but ultimately, I can do that in eternity. But here in this life, I should be focusing on loving people around me and showing them God's love so that they can draw closer to God in a relationship. Additionally, it helps us recognize that this great place in eternity, we want everyone to be there. So we should turn with God's love and focus on loving people around us. So that's why we should be focusing on eternity. And those are my 4 greatest reasons why I'm excited for eternity. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.